Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Marvel. I am Thanos Chapter 001. At 3 o'clock in the morning on April 24th, GUTN just finished watching the premiere of Avengers 4, came out of the movie theater and drove home, queuing out of the mall parking lot and waiting for another half an hour. At this time, GUTN was already sleepy and exhausted, and unfortunately he had an accident on the road and died. When he opened his eyes again, GUTN found himself in a paradise-like world. The sky here is as if it has just been washed, a blue, like a poetry painting, and everywhere the field of vision can see, there are flowers, peach blossoms and willows, and there are many wild fruits that have never been seen in ancient times, delicate, people can't help but reach out and pick. Am I born again? GUTN looked at the scene in front of him, and his heart beat endlessly. Seeing the strange fruit in front of him, GUTN stretched out his right hand and gently plucked an equally orange fruit 10 times larger than an ordinary mango. At this time, he suddenly noticed that his right hand was extremely huge. He was many times larger than he was an ordinary person in his previous life. Not only that, but his hands are purple. ! I was reborn into something. GUTN was a little flustered. Rebirth was certain. He didn't believe in the idea of going to heaven after death, although it did feel a bit of heaven here. GUTN saw a river not far ahead, so he quickly ran over. He wanted to see his current appearance through the river. After a few big steps, GUTN came to this clear river, and he found that he was tall and horse tall, at least 2 meters tall. Won't respawn monsters, will it? GUTN was nervous and a little scared, but he still plucked up his courage and looked towards the river. I saw a domineering and familiar face reflected in the clear river. This is Thanos. I respawned Thanos. This is Thanos' back garden, where he retires after snapping his fingers. Wahaha, I actually came to the Marvel world, and I became Thanos. It's an invincible rhythm. Quote. GUTN laughed madly, but just after getting excited, he couldn't help but cough. Cough, cough. GUTN coughed several times, and actually vomited blood. Damn, what's going on? GUTN subconsciously looked at his left hand. He knew that Thanos was wearing the Infinity Gauntlet on his left hand, and the moment he saw the glove, GUTN's legs went limp, and he almost collapsed to the ground. Nima, there is not a single gem on the Infinity Gauntlet. Just after watching Avengers 4, GUTN knew that these rough stones were not stolen by anyone, but Thanos himself did it. He used one rough stone to destroy another rough stone, and destroyed all 6 incomparably precious infinite rough stones. It is precisely because of this that Thanos almost killed himself, and now his body is extremely weak, and he doesn't even have a combat power at all. No, I can't farm here as a farmer. Soon Nebula will tell Captain Marvel about my whereabouts. If they come, I'll be finished. In the plot of Avengers 4 inches that I just watched, Captain Marvel, Thor and others came to find the elderly Thanos. Thor used the storm axe to cut off Thanos' hand once, and once directly cut off Thanos' head. Thanos had no power to fight back. GUTN just wanted to escape, but he didn't expect that an extremely dazzling light suddenly appeared in the sky, and the bright light rushed to this side from the sky. Thanos. A strong and powerful female voice came from the sky. Lying groove, it's Captain Marvel. GUTN looked at the sky, and before he could react, Captain Marvel launched a strong attack on GUTN, and the entire ground trembled. After Captain Marvel arrived, Thor, Thanos' daughter Nebula, Captain America, Black Widow, and Little Raccoon also arrived. Without saying a word, Thor directly cut off Thanos' hand, and after chopping, he saw that there were no gems on his gloves, and without saying a word, he cut off Thanos' head with an axe. No, now GUTN is Thanos. Just now the rebirth of Thanos is quite happy. Who knows, Timo was just reborn less than a minute, was hacked to death by Thor. Thor, I draft uncle. GUTN shouted hysterically. Lao Su is also too sad. Just reborn and died. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the most tragic reborn person in history. Quote. Well, no, if I'm dead, how can I still be conscious? Suddenly, GUTN heard a sound of machines. System. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Thanos system. Detected that the host is in a near-death state. The system specially gifted at Sage Asylum. Is it used now? Quote. System. The Asylum of the Sages. GUTN was overjoyed. really didn't just be reborn and hung and the system, is this system named wrong? Thanos is an existence that people dare not open when they see them. How can the system say that he is loved by everyone? Now GUTN can't think so much. First use the newbie gift package given by the system. As for this Sage's protection, there is no need to systematically explain. GUTN also knows that this is from the phenomenal mobile game, Glory of Kings, which can be resurrected. That is, Thor didn't kill Lao Tzu at all. Marvel. I am Thanos 002. Chapter 002. However, even if he could be resurrected, GUTN was still a little worried. Because in the game, Honor of Kings, Sage's asylum is to resurrect in place after 2 seconds of death, and everyone who has played the game knows that even if you have resurrection armor, if you die in front of a bunch of people, you will be immediately killed again when you are resurrected. The situation is the same now. If GUTN is resurrected in 2 seconds, then Thunder God will not hesitate to hack GUTN, Thanos' body, to death. He didn't want to die twice in a row just after being born again. GUTN asked, how long is the resurrection time of the Sage's protection? Quote. System. 5 years. Quote. Use it now. As soon as he heard it, GUTN was relieved. Immediately afterwards, the system used Sage protection on GUTN, and then GUTN temporarily lost consciousness and had to wait until 5 years later to be resurrected. At this time, looking at Thanos, who broke up the family, Thor, Captain Marvel and others were silent for a while. The little raccoon also wanted to talk to Thanos more, but he didn't expect that Thor would cut Thanos as soon as he appeared, pointed to Thanos' body, and complained a little, Thor, what are you doing? Quote. Thor smiled and said, this time, I went for the head. Quote. Country M. Captain Steve Rogers pondered a little. He knew what Thor meant by this. In Wakanda, when everyone fought against Thanos, Thor was because he didn't punch his head, causing Thanos to have a chance to snap his fingers, and because of this, they lost a group of friends. Therefore, this time Thor killed decisively, and immediately started to cut him down after meeting Thanos. Nebula looked at his father's corpse. His expression was a little gloomy. He couldn't say he was happy, he couldn't say he was unhappy, and asked everyone, Thanos' corpse, what do you plan to do with it? He is an eternal race. Unlike you ordinary humans, even if you die, the corpse will not decay. Quote. Steve Rogers said, I want to bring him to Earth and put him in the Avengers building, firstly, to pay tribute to our lost comrades, and secondly, his corpse will always alert me, I failed to prevent him from killing my friend. Quote. Steve, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff saw Steve's reproachful look and patted Steve's back to comfort her. Today, although Thanos is dead, no one thinks they are victorious, because their friends Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and half of the universe are all gone. With endless sadness and GUTN's corpse, everyone returned to Earth. 5 years later, City of NY, Avengers Building. GUTN slowly woke up in the darkness, and due to the Sage's protection, his body had returned to its original state, and the head and arms that had been cut off by Thunder God were also picked up again. Ahem, GUTN still felt that his body was a little weak. Although it was Thanos' body, it took a lot of strength to push the door of this coffin open. After seeing the sky again, GUTN was excited. Haha, Lao Tzu is resurrected again. Avengers, didn't expect that. Thor, you wait, I will definitely seek revenge on you. Quote. Just Reborn was hacked to death by the God of Thunder. GUTN simply hated Thor. Although Thor is a positive character, GUTN will not kill him, but the necessary lessons still have to be given. What is this place? GUTN came out of the coffin and looked around. It was already early in the morning, the room was dark, and GUTN did not dare to turn on the light rashly, but he faintly saw a logo with an A word. Avengers. Avengers Mansion. This is Earth. Quote. GUTN immediately thought of this place, opened the window and looked out, determined that it was the Earth, but they did not expect that they actually brought Thanos' body back to the Earth and placed it in the Avengers Mansion. Nima, won't you just be resurrected and killed by the Avengers? If he dies again, GUTN is estimated to collapse. GUTN hurriedly asked the system, how many % of Thanos' strength do I have now? Quote. System. The host is now less than 10% strong due to the destruction of gems, plus being severely injured by Thor the God of Thor. Quote. Nima, less than 1 Chang, even if Captain Marvel may not be on Earth now, but even if he encounters Captain M and Black Widow, he will be killed. This is their territory. No, I have to get out of here. Gutn is a little panicked. What he is most afraid of now is this group of Avengers. Originally as a fan is quite like, but no way, now he is Thanos, is the Avengers' nemesis. It is estimated that he doesn't even need to say anything when he meets, and he directly fights. Gutn now somewhat understands why the name of the system is that people love flowers and blossoms, and he also wants to turn Thanos into a good person. Gutn's huge body walked out of the room with bits and pieces, and suddenly saw that the light in the room in front was still on. It's Salate, who's still inside. Black Widow, Captain of Country M, Iron Man, quote. Gutn originally didn't plan to go over, but the exit was over there. He also had to step forward, glanced inside through the window, and found that it was the Black Widow Natasha. She was drinking herself. A person had already drunk 2 bottles of red wine, looking at her confused eyes, obviously drunk. Marvel. I am Thanos 003. Marvel. I am Thanos. Chapter 003. Seeing the Black Widow Natasha, Gutn couldn't help but look at it a few more times. Natasha is indeed too beautiful and sexy, a tights outline a proud figure, she has long hair, and the end of her hair is specially dyed yellow, which looks more charming. Thinking of Durant saying on Twitter that he wanted to drink Scarlett's bath water, Gutn couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Now Natasha is very drunk. For many men, it is an opportunity. But Gutn would not take this risk. Natasha was a super agent trained in the Red House of the former Soviet Union. It was better not to say hello to her. But at this moment, the system made a noise. Target Natasha Romanov detected. Identity: Avengers member, nicknamed Black Widow. Character level: Grade A. If the host gets Natasha's like, it will get 5,000 points. Gutn just wanted to leave, but immediately stopped. It turns out that the points of this system are obtained by the likes of others, and those who like themselves. The higher the level, the stronger the strength, and the more points they get. And these points can obviously be exchanged for a lot of good things. Now Gutn is the appearance of Thanos, but he does not have the strength of Thanos. Whether it is on Earth or on other planets, if he is seen by others, it is certain death, so he must obtain points to obtain the ability to save his life. However, Natasha hated Thanos. She is so sad to buy drunk now. It is thanks to Thanos, and getting her like is simply more difficult than ascending to the sky. Alas, forget it. Let's find someone else first. You can first gain the favor of a low-level person, and then slowly accumulate. Gutn still felt that it was a bit risky to break in like this. But at this time, Natasha in the room suddenly threw the red wine bottle against the wall and shouted, "Thanos! You give me out. I know you didn't destroy the Infinity Stones. Tell me where you hid them." Quote. Natasha stood up, picked up another red wine bottle, and her body swayed, almost like the girls who were picked up by the bodies drunk in the bar. Hearing Natasha's words, Gutn thought slightly in his heart. She really wants to resurrect those people through the Infinity Stones now. Perhaps I can use this to gain her favor when she is drunk. Quote. If the current Natasha is sober, then Gutn will definitely turn around and leave without saying a word, but Natasha is completely drunk now, and this is not simply drunk, but intoxicated. The super agent trained by the Red House, the amount of alcohol is first-class good, and the reason why Natasha is drunk is not because of the amount of alcohol, but because she wants to get drunk, and when she is sad, even a glass of wine may be drunk. So, Gutn pushed open the door. "Natasha!" exclaimed Gutn in Thanos' rough voice. "Thanos!" Natasha was suddenly startled, and was a little sober for a moment, but then patted her head and said to herself, "No, Thanos has been hacked to death by Thor, and his head has been divided. This is not true. I am really drunk, hee, I actually hallucinated." Quote. After Gutn came in, he didn't go forward, just stood at the door, leaned against the wall and said, "That's right, I was your fantasy. Since you want to talk to me, what is the importance of me being really fake? Say what you want to say and I'll tell you the answer." Quote. Natasha's eyes were hazy with tears, and she pointed to an empty place and said, 3 hours ago, I had a holographic projection meeting with Carol Danvers, Rocket Raccoon, and Rode, and Carol cut her hair and was still floating on another planet, and Rode told me one thing, he found Barton. Speaking of this, Natasha was even more sad, and Gutn answered, Hawkeye, Barton, I know that after he lost his loved ones, his emotions became very unstable. Quote. It's all your fault. You caused them to lose their loved ones. Natasha said hoarsely. Gutn sighed and said a classic line from Infernal Affairs, I didn't have a chance to choose before, but now I want to be a good person. Quote. A burst of joy appeared on Natasha's teary-eyed hazy face. Then tell me quickly, where did you hide the Infinity Stones? You didn't destroy them at all, right? Quote. Natasha has always had a fantasy in her heart. She expects Thanos to say that it is false, that the Infinity Stones are still there, and that they can resurrect everyone through the gems. Gutn nodded along with Natasha's thoughts. Yes, Natasha, how can I destroy the Infinity Stones that I have worked so hard to obtain after so long? They were hidden by me in a very special place. Quote. Where is it hidden? Tell me quickly. Natasha suddenly walked quickly in front of Gutn, causing Gutn to panic. Fortunately, he was really drunk, otherwise Gutn would have run away. Gutn forcibly stabilized his flustered heart, and then said, They are in my heart. Quote. In your heart, how can I get them? Can Thor's axe be dug out of your heart? Natasha wiped her tears and asked like a little girl. Marvel. I am Thanos 004. Marvel. I am Thanos. Chapter 004. Gutn was even more panicked when he heard this. Nima, Thor has already cut off Lao Tzu's hands and head once, and you still let him dig my heart again. I don't take you guys to play like that. Gutn hurriedly said. Natasha, these infinite stones, you have to be attentive to feel them, even if you let Thor dig up my internal organs, you still can't feel it. Quote. Natasha said eagerly, how do you feel it with your heart? You taught me that as long as I can resurrect half of the people in the universe, I can do anything, and let me die. Quote. Gutn looked at Natasha's sincere face, and couldn't help but be moved. He didn't doubt what Natasha said. In Avengers 4, Natasha really sacrificed for the resurrection plan, and she sacrificed on her own initiative. Hawkeye and Natasha were on the cliff edge of planet Vomir, begging each other for death, and finally the scene where Natasha took the initiative to loosen the rope and fell down still touched Gutn. Gutn. It's very simple, like me, only if you like me, will you feel what my heart is thinking, and can you feel the true location of those 6 Infinity Stones? Gutn is also improvisational and made up temporarily, and I am not sure if Natasha, who has read countless people, will be fooled. But in the next second, Natasha took the initiative to stand on tiptoe and kiss Gutn. I'm going, that's too straightforward, right? Gutn was taken aback. Natasha really took Gutn's words seriously. She didn't know how to like Thanos in a short time, but she could do some actions before liking it. Like kissing, such as, I like you, Thanos, I like you so much. Natasha kissed Gutn while saying these emotional words, as if to hypnotize herself. Some falsehoods, said 10,000 times, false, also come true. Oh, Thanos, you're so tall, honey, can you sit down? It's tiring to kiss you like this. Quote. Natasha is only 1.6 meters, and Thanos is more than 2 meters, so standing kiss is naturally uncomfortable. No way, how many men's dream lover is Black Widow? Such a goddess took the initiative to ask for a kiss, and Gutn couldn't think of any reason to refuse. In addition, he also wants to get points through Natasha's liking, and Natasha also wants to save those lost Avengers in this way, and both sides can be said to take what they need. Many transgressions began with a simple touch or kiss, and it didn't take long for Natasha to have a relationship with Gutn. Oh my god, Thanos and Black Widow actually got involved. After a burst of clouds and rain, looking at the Black Widow sleeping on the floor, ruffling her hair, Gutn felt a little unable to accept this reality. To be honest, in the tens of minutes just now, Gutn also thoroughly appreciated the physical difference between ordinary people and superheroes. If it is replaced by Gutn in the previous life, the small body, let alone subduing Black Widow, it is good not to be subdued by her. But Thanos's body, even if he is injured now, does not have too strong strength, but doing this kind of thing is still a piece of cake. No, after the war, Black Widow passed out. System. Congratulations to the host for getting Natasha's like, you get 5,000 points. Do you want to redeem the item now? Quote. Gutn originally wanted to kiss Natasha a few more times, but when he heard the sound of the system, he immediately stood up. Yes. I want to redeem something that can change shape, is there one? Quote. Now the remaining half of the entire universe all hate Thanos. Gutn must change his appearance, otherwise, this look is too swaggering, and it is not too late to show Lucian's true face when all of Thanos' strength is restored. System. It is recommended that the host redeem the mutant ability of, which, Ruiwin, and 5,000 points can be exchanged. Quote. Oh, mutant abilities. Gutn also knows about Ruiwin's ability. She is not in the MCU movie universe, but in the X-Men series. This hero is a mutant who can become anyone and even delay aging. Gutn did not hesitate and immediately said, exchange it now. Quote. System. Congratulations to the host for having the witch mutant ability. The host can become any character you imagine. Quote. Gutn glanced at Natasha, who was lying on the ground in disheveled clothes, and quickly changed according to Natasha's appearance, and sure enough, he changed from a tall Thanos to a small and lovely Black Widow. Hee, so that the Avengers won't cut me as soon as they see me. It's now 5 years later, Ant-Man Scott will soon travel back from subatomic space. Once Scott finds the Avengers and opens the plan for space-time hijacking, once finally let Iron Man get the glove and snap his fingers, Thanos, will definitely turn into ashes. The final ending in Avengers 4 inches is that Iron Man travels back in time and space, gets 6 gems, and then when Thanos grabs the Infinity Gauntlet, Iron Man snatches the gems back. In the end, Iron Man snapped his fingers, Thanos and all the villains turned to ashes, and he himself died because he could not withstand the power of the gem. Gutn must stop all this, because once Iron Man snaps his fingers, he will die. Marvel. I am Thanos 005. Marvel. I am Thanos. Chapter 005. Now, Gutn has a rough plan, that is, to find Casey, the daughter of Ant-Man Scott Lang, and get closer to her, because Scott came back. The first time was not to find the Avenger, but to find his daughter. Once Gutn can gain Casey's trust, then as soon as Scott returns, Gutn will know for the first time. Scott is the most critical character in Avengers 4, and Iron Man they have a chance to reverse, all thanks to Scott's appearance. Therefore, Gutn must make good use of the character of Scott. Casually raised Natasha's white and tender arm, glanced at the time of the delicate women's watch on her left wrist. It was already early in the morning. It didn't seem appropriate to go to Ant-Man's daughter now, or leave the Avengers mansion first and find a place to rest for the night. Gutn sorted out Natasha's messy clothes and carried her to the chair, so that when she woke up, she would realize that her relationship with Thanos was not a dream but a real thing. Because Natasha's figure was so good, after holding her to the chair, Gutn couldn't help but rub oil for a while before reluctantly leaving the Avengers mansion. The Avengers building is located in Manhattan, downtown NY, Marvel World, which is the most prosperous area, and NY is a world-renowned cosmopolitan city, and those high-rise buildings were built decades ago. However, when Gutn walked down and walked to the streets of NY, he found that the streets of the city were surprisingly deserted. In the past life, Gutian was a magic capital, and both Magic Capital and NY City were international metropolises. Even at night, it was a prosperous night scene with countless pedestrians. However, now, there is not a single pedestrian in the entire street, although there are many high-rise buildings, but there are few places to light up. Gutn changed his appearance into the Asian appearance of his previous life, and then walked to a hotel and came to the front desk, which received not a little girl, but an aunt in her 50s. Gutn was also very honest. Hello, I want to stay in the hotel, but I lost my ID card, can I stay here? Quote. The white ant beckoned to Gutn, motioned for him to come over, gave Gutn a hug first, and then replied, Child, no ID card, no money, this is the key, you just go to the room to live. Quote. It doesn't cost money. Gutn was a little surprised. When he came out of the Avengers mansion, he deliberately took some dollars. The white ant sighed sadly. Alas, the people are gone, what is the use of money? There are less than half of the world's people, the rooms at home are empty, even fewer come to the store, and I don't know how long it will last, but I always feel that one day my children will suddenly come back. The white ant became sad, and it could be seen that she also lost her loved ones because of Thanos' snapping of her fingers, and the coldness of the city was also for this reason. The world with less than half of the people, Gutn was sure that the world he came to was half less than before. took the keys to the best room in the hotel. Mei slept, and the next morning, he said goodbye to the white ant and said to her, "Keep the hotel open, maybe one day your children will come back." Quote. Thanos has caused many people to lose their loved ones, and Gutn plans to resurrect these people again, and he wants to be a good Thanos and make up for his previous mistakes. Therefore, he must blend into the Avengers camp, and then participate in the time hijacking plan of Ant-Man, Iron Man and others, resurrecting the other half without giving Iron Man or anyone the opportunity to kill himself. Since there are less than half of the people, the flight at the airport has also been greatly reduced. Gutn waited until the afternoon to take the NY to San Francisco plane. Even if you get on the plane, there are very few people on the plane, and the flight attendant will even sit next to you and chat with you. "Sir, would you like another cup of coffee?" The white flight attendant, who looks like Anne Hathaway, sits next to Gutn and wants to refill another drink for Gutn. "No thanks, beauty." Gutn smiled and said, "I was seriously ill a few years ago and didn't go out much, so I want to ask you, in the past 5 years, there have been so few people on the plane." Quote. Gutn looked at this deserted seat. There were only 2 or 3 people scattered, almost the same as a charter flight. There were fewer people, but the treatment was improved. The white flight attendant said with a smile. When Thanos just finished snapping his fingers, many planes had accidents, and the staff at the airport were reduced by half, and they couldn't continue to operate at all, and the planes around the world stopped for a while. Even if they resumed operation, fewer people took the plane. In fact, this year is already good. Quote. "So it is." Gutn sighed with emotion, and suddenly asked curiously, "By the way, where were you when Thanos snapped his fingers? What are you doing? Has someone disappeared in front of you?" Quote. "Who knows?" The white flight attendant was a little shy when she heard it. 5 years ago, I was a little girl. At that time, I just talked about my first boyfriend, and then in our house, what are we inside, he disappeared." Gutn was embarrassed for a while. This experience is also nobody. Please like and subscribe.